Hi, I'm Candace, and welcome to I Am Not a Doctor, where I am not a medical professional. But I love sifting through the science so you don't have to. This week, we are going to talk about some of the lies your doctors are telling you. This may make some people uncomfortable. We look to doctors to be the more educated, science-based voice of reason when it comes to our health. The unfortunate truth is medicine is a business, and most doctors aren't taught the very preventative things we need them to be knowledgeable on to heal our diseases. If you are open to hearing some of the hard truths about your health, keep watching. I want to start by saying I'm not anti-doctor. Nothing is entirely black and white, and I don't believe that every doctor is bad. I do believe that there are many lies that continue to be told to patients about their health because that's what gets passed down in the medical curriculum year after year. I also believe that if you have a medical emergency, then I would never want you to go to YouTube. I would want you to go to a medical doctor. The problem here is things become medical emergencies because there is no preventative care. There is no care for people who have symptoms that don't fit into boxes easily diagnosed by test. Because of this, almost everyone is given the same ancient guidelines to live by, the same pills to take, and everyone is getting sicker, more overweight, and dying earlier of disease. Let's start by discussing one of probably the earliest lies you've been told. You should follow the food pyramid. I feel like the food pyramid is something I remember learning about back in elementary school. It was like, learn Foursquare, and also this is how you're supposed to eat, which as a kid who loved food in the South, I was like, great. Biscuits fall into the biggest category on here. I can totally have 8 biscuits a day, and every adult around me, from my teachers to my doctors, is telling me it's healthy. Here's how we got to where we are. Back in 1955, we had a shift in the public being more concerned about heart disease because their fearless leader, Dwight D. Eisenhower, had a heart attack. Thus, we started a witch hunt to figure out what in the world could cause heart attacks. Meanwhile, never once looking at the rise in smoking or the fact that Mr. Eisenhower was said to have smoked up to 4 packs of cigarettes a day. Instead, we looked to a man named Ancel Keys, who had a real beef, no pun intended, with saturated fat, and during this time created studies to support the idea that saturated fat increased heart disease. The issue with these studies is that the man would research 22 countries and then only give the results of 6 of them. This isn't true comprehensive scientific data. This is cherry picking a study to turn the outcome into whatever you want it to be. He also became real chummy with the American Heart Association, whose biggest sponsor was Procter & Gamble, the makers of Crisco, which if you've seen my butter video, you know isn't fit for human consumption. So we're already vilifying saturated fat. And then in the 1970s, we had a surplus of grain in the United States. So the USDA was like, how can we get rid of all this grain? We wouldn't want it to go to waste, and it's so cheap to produce. I've got it. How about we just tell the public they should be eating a ton of it? They actually hired a woman named Louise Light to create a healthy way of eating guide to give to the public. And they rejected her final proposal because it didn't have enough grains on it. What they decided to use instead of her proposal was the food pyramid. And this told Americans to eat 6 to 11 servings of grain a day, which is almost an entire box of cereal every single day. So there we go. 1980, the food pyramid was created. Since the conception of the food pyramid, we have seen obesity in the US skyrocket. What are you going to do if you're a doctor? Tell patients not to listen to the government guidelines? Sounds like a pretty good way to lose your job if you ask me. Doctors also jumped on board with the Ancel Keys theory because his bullying tactics made it almost impossible to have an alternative opinion even if science supported it. But it's not all bad. I actually have some good news about the food pyramid. It can actually be a pretty good blueprint if you just turn that bad boy upside down. Just take everything you learned about it and pretty much do the exact opposite. We want to be prioritizing fat and protein and minimizing grains and fruit. Speaking of grains and fruit, another lie that you've been told is that you need fiber. I have a dirty secret. Are you ready? I haven't had fiber in 2 years and I can still go to the bathroom. I know, it's shocking. Here's where we got the whole fiber thing from. Dr. Burkitt was visiting Africa and studying cancer. While he was there, he saw that the indigenous people ate a lot of starchy fiber and pooped a lot. In this population, there was also a low amount of colon and other cancers when compared to Western diets. So he decided to put two and two together and started claiming that what you need to do to clean your bowels is eat as much fiber as possible and go to the bathroom often. But the issue is there haven't been any studies that show causation between more fiber and lower risk of colon cancer. And he actually never once thought that maybe the processing of food and sugar in the Western diet could be leading to cancer and not the lack of fiber. Fiber is defined as the part of the plant food that you cannot digest. When you eat fiber, it breaks apart and turns into gas, which we hate. This makes us bloated and feel like crap. It also turns into short-chain fatty acids, which can be said to feed the lining of your colon. Here's the thing though. What if you could get short-chain fatty acids without the gas? Sounds amazing, right? Well, you can from ketones. Eating things like saturated fat, meat, butter, all these things turn into short-chain fatty acids. Doctors will tell you if you're constipated to up your fiber, but I love this analogy from Dr. Paul Mason. If you have a traffic jam, why would you add more cars if you wanted to fix the traffic jam? Fiber is simply bulking our stool up. If I'm having tummy issues, I don't want there to be any more bulk in there. Some GI doctors will actually recommend a low residue diet for healing if you have inflammation, and that is simply a low fiber diet. I want to be in a state of healing all the time, so I'm not interested in adding additional things that are difficult for my body to digest. To soften your stool, you need to have fat and you need to have good mineral balance. Fiber is non-essential, and you should stop listening to every influencer trying to sell you sugary psyllium husk or chia seeds to toss into a smoothie. In fact, you should really stop drinking fruit smoothies altogether, especially for breakfast, but you might be doing this because you've been told you need low cholesterol. There are so many reasons why this is a lie, so I'm just going to highlight a few of them. Your body makes cholesterol. Without cholesterol, you will die. When you try to lower cholesterol, you're trying to kill the firefighters instead of put out the fire. You have high cholesterol most likely because you have other high inflammatory markers in your body. Or you're on a ketogenic diet, in which case you aren't worried about high cholesterol in the first place. Yes, if you pour fat down a drain and it hardens, your drain becomes clogged. Shout out to our plumber Mod, we learned this the hard way. But your heart arteries are not a pipe in your kitchen. Plaque forms in your arteries because of micro tears, and the plaque are like little scabs. Too many scabs cause a block. What causes tiny tears in your arteries? Nicotine is a huge one. I'm looking at you, all my vape friends. Just because I can't smell it doesn't mean you aren't hurting yourself. Another one is sugar. This will start to oxidize the inside of your arteries and break down the arteries. I know you want to blame bacon and not your Frappuccino in the morning on your high cholesterol, but you have to start looking at your sugar and carb intake. Your body wasn't meant to process the amount of sugar and carbs our current standard diet is forcing on us. There isn't anything wrong with you. You don't need medication. You just need to stop eating these foods in abundance. People who actually have lower cholesterol are at a higher risk of stroke, heart disease, and cancer. People who are on statins can actually double their risk of dementia. So-called health experts have been hating on saturated fat for reasons based on religion and simply trying to turn a profit. I have no problem with anyone in any religion, but your religious views shouldn't become dietary guidelines. And that's what happened when we had members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church become head of the 1917 American Dietetics Association. You can still have morals and eat animals at the same time. All this to say, if your doctor says you need to lower your cholesterol without talking about your insulin resistance, you might need to find a new doctor. You should also definitely find a new doctor if they tell you to stay out of the sun. Man, I have never had so many strangers angry at me at one time as I did when I posted a TikTok about getting sunlight without sunscreen. I didn't realize that this was such a triggering topic. The truth is, your hormones are synced up to light. Light goes into your eyes in the morning and starts a chain reaction in your body that tells you when to eat, when to sleep. And there's actually studies that show that sunlight can positively affect your gut microbiome. When we talk about UV rays causing melanoma, we need to look at the studies and see that most of these were done on people who were exposed to only indoor tanning beds, not actual sunlight. Indoor tanning beds are man-made and generally don't contain the same frequency of light as real sunlight. You don't even want to open your eyes in a tanning bed. That is how strong the rays are. And vitamin D, which we all know about, is actually a hormone, not a vitamin, that your body produces in the sun. And most people are deficient in vitamin D. When you wear sunscreen all over your body and you never expose your skin to the sun, you're blocking your body from getting optimal vitamin D production. Now look, I am not telling you to go out in Costa Rica for 6 hours without sunscreen. I'm not even telling you to go lay in your yard for 6 hours without sunscreen. What I am saying is that you should work to build your solar callus, your tan, so you can tolerate longer periods of sunlight, because sunlight is shown to improve mood, and you need it because you evolved with it. Another unpopular opinion is that sunglasses actually keep you from producing the correct amount of melanin to keep your skin safe. So when you're at the beach in sunglasses all day, you're more likely to burn because your eyes don't know you're in direct sunlight and your body can't protect itself. Again, it's about making smart choices. It's not about avoiding the sun altogether and demonizing it. You certainly don't want to slather your skin in chemical-filled sunscreens 24/7. Yes, there are better versions of sunscreens out there. Yes, well, I wear sunscreen occasionally if I'm on a boat and there isn't any shade. Sure, but it's rare and it's not every day or every vacation. Last but not least, one of the worst lies a doctor can tell you is that your illness isn't reversible. Doctors love to say things like, "We don't know why this happens," or "Sometimes it's just genetic." Yes, if you eat and move in the same amount as everyone else in your family, you may end up having the same metabolic conditions. That doesn't mean that you are destined to have cancer because the women in your family had cancer. This doesn't mean that because you have colitis, this is your entire life forever. There are so many anecdotal stories of people healing from incredible life-altering diseases. MS, epilepsy, cancer, Crohn's. You need to believe that you have the power to heal your body, and 9 out of 10 times, it starts with what you're eating. We as a society so rarely connect with the food as the root cause of our suffering. Instead, you're sold detox programs and told that your body simply can't heal itself on its own. If you remove the poisons from your body, you have the power to heal. The issue is seeing the poisons for what they are. Any doctor that tells you that a diet intervention is a waste of time in the case of your disease or ailment is wrong. It's the one thing that you have ultimate control over. You don't need more pills or supplements or tests. You need less. Less sugar, less dyes, less gums, less food that comes in a wrapper. You need less blue light, less alcohol, and less stress listening to doctors who want to put you on pills instead of wanting to heal your root cause. From birth, we become integrated into a society that isn't about prevention, it's about keeping us sick. The fact that holistic doctors and normal medical doctors get kickbacks from prescribing you medication and supplements is proof enough that your ultimate health and their business are at odds. Like I said before, this isn't to say everything is black and white and there's never a doctor who wants to help you, but you need to be more discerning and take in advice at face value just because someone in a lab coat told you to. Were any of these lies surprising to you? How have you handled doctors telling you some of these things? How do you challenge the status quo when it comes to widely accepted health truths? Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing from you. If you like this content, please subscribe. It lets me know you want me to keep making it. I always end my videos with this because it is so very true. You are in control of your health. It just might take changing everything you thought you knew to get to where you want to be.